Hello everybody. This week we are going to be working on this Dell Vostro 3590 motherboard. Now the detail I have from the seller is that it is, quote, turning on sometimes, no display. That's all I got. So it seems like we have another power on, no display symptom with this motherboard. But let's scan it to the screen and I can show you how I troubleshoot it.
As you can see, I have scanned the motherboard to the screen so we can all work on it together. I've done a quick visual inspection. I don't see any signs of damage. So we're going to go straight to our DC connector and see if we can find where our DC voltage comes in and then track it through the motherboard circuit. Now, as you can see on our DC connector, pin 1 is at this end because we have this white mark in here, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pins on it. So let's mark in those 6 pins. Now I've checked our schematic and confirmed that those pins are, we have 2 grounds, pin 1 and 2, we have a PSID on pin number 3, pin 4 is not connected, and our DC positive voltage comes in on pins 5 and 6. So the first thing we want to do is connect power to the board, then use our multimeter in volts DC in the 20 volt range and check to confirm that we're getting the correct voltage onto the motherboard from the power adapter. So we can check for that at pin 5 DC in, and when I carry out a voltage check here, I find that we are measuring 19.5 volts. So we're getting the correct voltage from our power adapter. But where does it go next? Well, as you can see, it comes along this track here and we have a number of vias. So it actually goes through these vias and onto the other side of the board. So let's see if we can follow this through to the other side of the board. On the other side of the board, we can see where our voltage comes through here, and we can confirm by taking a voltage measurement on this side of the inductor, and this confirms that we have 19.5 volts here also. Now, these inductors very rarely fail, but just to be comprehensive, we take a voltage measurement on the other side and confirm that our 19 volts is coming through here also. So where does our voltage go from here? So let's follow the 19.5 volts and see if we can locate the next components in line. And as you might expect, the next components in line are our 2 input MOSFETs, PQB11 and PQB12. Now we can see from the labels that these MOSFETs are both EM-B04-NO3 N-channel MOSFETs. If we look at the datasheet, for that we can see EM-B04-NO3 N-channel logic level enhancement mode field effect transistor. So we have 3 source pins together, 1, 2 and 3. We have a gate pin on pin 4, and pin 5, 6, 7 and 8 are all drain pins. And this MOSFET is switched on and off by the signal at the gate. And to help everybody understand more clearly what's going on, I have drawn in the pinouts for 2 of these MOSFETs. So let's take some measurements. We have already established that our 19.5 volts is making it down to the drain pins of PQB11. But is this MOSFET switched on? Well, let's check the gate voltage. So if we measure in volts DC at the gate pin, we establish that we have 24 volts. Now this is a high signal for an N-channel MOSFET, so we would expect that this MOSFET is on and allowing our 19.5 volts through from our drain to our source. So to confirm this, we check a voltage measurement at the source pins of this MOSFET and we confirm that we have 19.5 volts here. From here, our 19.5 volts travels on to the source pins of our second MOSFET. And if we then check the gate pin of our second MOSFET, we find that it also has 24 volts. So this should be an appropriate gate voltage to switch this MOSFET on and allow our 19.5 volts through to our drain pins. And to confirm this, we take a measurement at our drain pins and we find that we have 19.5 volts also. And from here, our 19.5 volts comes through this current sense resistor. And I just took a measurement after the current sense resistor just to confirm that we also had 19.5 volts there. So it looks like our 19.5 volts is coming through our whole input section, and the next component we need to examine is our battery management IC. So let's see if we can find that on the motherboard. I have located the battery management IC. It's an Intersil 95522H. If we look at the datasheet for that, we can see that this is a hybrid power boost and narrow VDC combo battery charger. So this can operate in 2 modes. It has a HPB charger configuration where, as you can see, our adapter voltage comes through these two MOSFETs and then goes straight down to all of the secondary circuits. Or the narrow voltage configuration where our input voltage comes down to the battery management IC, where it's regulated down to a lower voltage, and then that lower voltage is sent down to the secondary circuits. With the laptop we are working on today, it is operating with the HPB charger configuration. Now, we have established that our 19.5 volts is coming from our adapter through our two input MOSFETs and through a current sense resistor, which would be here. So if we're measuring 19.5 volts at this point, you can see that that is then going straight down to all of our secondary circuits. So the next thing we need to do is follow that 19.5 volts down to all of our secondary circuits and see if all of our secondary power rails are coming online. But just before doing that, I wanted to keep a log of all of the measurements that we took around this battery management IC. So here are the measurements that I took. From this block diagram for the laptop, we can see that our adapter voltage comes down to our battery management IC. Our battery management IC charges the battery, but our 19 volts comes straight down to all of our secondary circuits. So I thought it might be interesting to go through these one by one, see the ICs responsible for our secondary voltages, and see if they're coming online. So the first circuit that our main 19.5 volt power rail feeds is this fuse and then DC bat underscore LCD. So this is the backlight for our screen. If we take a look at this on the actual circuit itself, our 19.5 volts should come in here through this fuse and is then fed down through this EDP connection down to our screen where it powers the backlight. If you have no backlight on your laptop, this is the first thing to check. But when I check this here, we have 19.5 volts on the near side of the fuse and we have 19.5 volts on the far side of the fuse. So this is fine. The next secondary circuit that is fed by our 19.5 volts main power rail is this PU-H01 IC here, which produces 1 volt. So let's check this IC, and we can find this on the motherboard at PU-H01. So I've written in the pinouts for this, and we can see that there's a V in on pin 5, which can be measured at this capacitor right here. If we measure here, we find that we have 19.5 volts. So this IC is getting the correct input. And as we can see, we have LX, which is an output that is connected to this main inductor. And if we measure here, we confirm that this IC is indeed producing our 1 volt output. So this circuit is working also. Next, we have our 5 volt circuit, PU501. So this generates our 5 volts. So let's check that on the motherboard. The IC here for PU501, and this is the IC right here. So let's mark in the pinouts for this. So as you can see, we have our input voltage comes into pins 2, 3, 4 and 5. So if we measure here, we can confirm that we have 19.5 volts on the input, and the output is LX pins 19 and 20, which connects to this inductor. And if we measure here, we confirm that we are in fact getting the correct output, 5.10 volts. What about our 3.3 volts power rail? Well, the next one we have is PU301. So as you can see, this is meant to produce our plus 3 volts ALWP. So let's check back on the motherboard, and we can see that this is PU301. And this is the IC here, so I've marked in the pinouts once again, and we can see that we have an input on pins 2, 3, 4 and 5. If I measure here, we establish that we have 19.5 volts on the input. We actually have an LDO output and our main output, but if we measure here on pin 19 and 20, we confirm that we have 3.3 volts. So this IC is working also. Our 19.5 volts also goes down to PUM01, which, as we can see here, is responsible for producing the 1.2 volts for our DDR4 memory. So let's see if we can locate PUM01. Well, I've found this on the motherboard, so you can see PUM01. And if we measure on pin 16, the phase pin, we can establish that we also have 1.19 or approximately 1.2 volts. So our memory voltage is online also. The next IC that our 19.5 volts feeds is PUI01. And as you can see here, this is one of the ICs responsible for producing VCC core. If we locate that on the motherboard, you can see we have PUI01. If we mark in the pinouts for that, you can see that we have VIN on pin 8, 9, 10 and 11. If we take a measurement here, we establish that we have the correct 19.5 volts input, and our output, of course, which is indicated by the fact that there's an inductor on it also, but you can see that it's connected on this track here. If we take a measurement here, we establish that our output is in fact 1.0 volts. The second IC responsible for producing VCC core is PUI02, and if we look at our motherboard again, you can see we have PUI02, we have 19.5 volts on the input, and we have 1 volt on the output. The next IC that is supplied by our main 19.5 volt power rail is PUG01, and as you can see here, this is responsible for producing our VCC_GT power rail. Now this is the power rail that powers our integrated graphics. If we locate that IC, you can see we have PUG01. So let's mark in the pinouts for that IC. And if we check on the input, you see we have V in here. We confirm that we have 19.5 volts on the input, but when we check on the output, we have 0.0 volts. And the last IC is PUA01, which, as we can see here, is supplying our voltage for VCC_SA. And that is the system agent for the processor. So let's see if we can locate that IC. And here we have PUA01. So it's this IC here. Let's mark in the pinouts for that IC. And the output is actually pin 7SW. And if we measure here, we confirm that we have 0.8 volts on the output. So it looks like the system agent voltage is online also.
Okay, so we've checked all the voltage rails, but this is what I'm actually seeing when I connect the laptop in. So it automatically seems to power on. You can see the fan is spinning, but we have no display. And we actually do have an LED diagnostic code down here. So as you can see, it's 1, 2, 3 amber, 1 white. So let's check what that is.
Checking online, I have found a Dell Vostro 3590 service manual, and I've gone to the system diagnostic lights. And if I scroll down here, you can see the diagnostic light codes are amber, white. So we have 3 and 1. So that's telling me coin cell battery failure. So I'm going to check the bias battery and see if it is low.
Okay, I've replaced the coin cell battery that was measuring just 2 volts with a new one. You can see it there. So let's try and power it on now. So I'm pressing the power button and we have a light. Okay, nothing. It's coming on again. Okay, we've got blue light and we have Dell. Okay, so it's bringing up the message time of day not set, which it will do if it has a problem with the bias battery. But it looks like putting in a new bias battery has got it to boot.
So after simply swapping out the bias battery, I have the laptop booting again. But I'm conscious of what the original seller said about this laptop, that it sometimes comes on and sometimes doesn't. So I'm going to need to monitor it over a period of time to see, is it as simple as just a bias battery or is there a secondary fault? But the one thing I know that you're all curious about is, now that it's showing a display on the screen, is our VCC_GT coming online? Well, I checked it again afterwards and it's still the same. Our VCC_GT power rail is still at 0.0 volts. I'm not sure why that's the case. Maybe one of you clever guys can tell me down in the comments why when we now have a display is our VCC_GT power rail still measuring 0 volts. So that concludes the video for this week. Obviously it would have been much quicker if I just got the LED diagnostic code at the start, ran it through the website, and we would have worked out what the problem is straight away. But what I'm trying to do with each of these videos every week is to build a troubleshooting guide for each motherboard. Now this week I expanded by trying to map out the pinouts for all of the secondary power rails for each IC on all of those secondary power rails, and as you can imagine, it was painstaking to draw each one of those out. Hopefully I haven't made any mistakes. If I have, you can let me know in the comments down below, but I put a lot of time into trying to make sure that I got them right. I don't know if it's feasible to do that for every single motherboard, but that's my reasoning behind it. Hopefully somebody will get some use out of this, and if you like the way that I did this one, I will do other motherboards similarly. I hope you all have a great week, and I'll be back again next week with another video.